Welcome, my name is Colleen Tauke and I'm the sewing specialist here at Fons & Porter. In this Sew Easy tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make quick-pieced flying geese units. If you see here on the Sewing Center, we have the 4 flying geese units. They're identical in the color combination, they're all the same size, and if you were making them like this, you would have the 4 points of your large store made all at once. So it's a great way to create exact piecing that are in the same color combinations. So what we do is we start with a large square and 4 smaller squares that will become the outer edge. This is kind of what we call the goose unit, the triangle, the larger triangle. So that's the large square. The outer triangles are made from 4 small squares. Now for the math for this, you can go to our document and it will give you the combination of what to add in numbers if you want to do your own math to figure out the finished unit, what size pieces to cut. So we're going to start though, we use the large square and 4 small squares, and this is the process that we go through. We're using a Fons & Porter 1/4-inch seam marker, and we're going to mark on all 4 of our smaller squares a stitching line. And I make it heavy enough so you can see it when I'm done. This is a pen that is heat sensitive so that when I run over it with my iron, the lines will disappear and it won't be permanent on my fabric. You can use your favorite marking tool or pencil. So we mark like this and we come in and do a second one. Now these lines that we're making are going to be our stitching line. The tool has a line down the center that's yellow with a black center, and I'm lining that up with the diagonal of my smaller blocks so that I am marking exactly a 1/4 inch off center both sides. Now what we do is take the large one and we're going to put these right sides together, aligning an outer edge here, and then take the second one and align with the outer edge on the opposite side. And the pieces are going to overlap in the center, and that is the correct placement. You do want them to overlap. Now I'm going to just put in a couple of pins to hold them in place so that I can move it to the sewing center and not have them shift out of place. Now some people like to put their pins out here, that's fine. I come to quilting from a dressmaking kind of background, and so I tend to put my pins in perpendicular to my sewing line. Because I do it that way, I don't have any shift. The fabrics can't shift off of center from where I want them or have them placed. So that's kind of a technique that kind of comes from a different background, but you're going to be removing your pins as you approach them. So wake up our sewing machine here. We're going to stitch across the block, following right along those marked lines, moving our pins as we approach them. Now where the 2 blocks overlap, that little spot in the middle, make sure that things stay flat. So you go from one to the other. Remove the second pin as we approach. And as you get close to the end, you can leave the needle in the down position, pick up your presser foot, skip over to the other side, the other marked line, and come back on the other side without breaking thread if you prefer. You can go off the end, but this way it's less starts and stops. I can come all the way back to the other side. Now, cut thread. Show you what that looks like. So I've stitched across the block this way. Now take it to the iron, heat set, and then we're going to do a bit of cutting. So we come in, warm those fibers up. Now we can either take a scissors and cut down through the center, or we can use a rotary cutter. This is going to be the first step, the first major step in making this block. Then we're going to go back to the iron in a moment. We'll work on each of the halves separately. Now when we open this up, we're going to have what looks kind of like a heart shape, like this, and here. So let's press one of those. We want to press the small triangles out and away. So we'll get them warmed up here a bit. Press those out and away. And then go to the second one. And you always want to take that step, getting things nice and flat. It's easier to work with as things are nice and neat and tidy. Okay, and we do the same process here, but let's just step through what we're going to do on one half. We're going to take another of those small squares. Remember, we had 4 to start with. We've used 2, so we have 2 remaining. You could do all the marking of these small squares all at once if you prefer. As we walk through this process, I just want to remind you that it's marked. And now you take this one and place down into this corner again on top of that larger triangle. And you're going to stitch here again. And then repeat that process. Remember, we have an identical set. You want to do that with this piece too. So you're going to stitch down through both those lines, and I have one already stitched. It would be like this. And then I have one already cut apart. Simple process, just cutting down between and open out. I'll just finger press those. There's one, and there's the second. Remember, this is half of it, so repeat that process with the other half, and you'll have 4 identical flying geese. Less distortion, less cutting, but you still yield what you need for your quilt top. Thanks for joining me today. If you'd like to see more of our Sew Easy videos, please visit our website. Thanks for joining me.